Our first order of business involves the establishment that COVID-19 requires a telephonic meeting as permitted under Executive Order number 16. And our soon-to-be-wed member of Metro Legal is guiding us through that, Mr. Alex Dickerson. So I will hand it over to Mr. Dickerson, and do we need to make a motion first?
I can go ahead and spell out a couple rules and then say what the motion is, and someone could just adopt the motion that I propose, if that works.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So just a reminder to everyone that you need to identify yourself before you interject. If, for instance, in this case, because the chair called on me by name, I don't have to say my name again because the audience can reasonably identify me. So that's what the standard is that any speaker, the audience must be able to reasonably identify. So just make sure to say your name before you interject. But the motion you're looking for, Mr. Chair, is that the proposed agenda constitutes essential business of this body and that meeting electronically is necessary for the health, safety, and well-being of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak.
Mr. Chairman, I so move. This is Commissioner McKee.
John Bridges, I'll second it.
And I hear a second from Mr. Bridges and Mr. Bridges. So we will now move forward with a roll call vote. Please respond with yes or no. You depending on where you are regarding the motion. Commissioner Acker.
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Amundson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Bobo.
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton.
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler.
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox.
Yes.
Commissioner McKee.
Yes.
Is Commissioner Patterson present? She being not present, is Commissioner Searcy present? Commissioner Searcy, are you present? And Commissioner Wood, are you present? Commissioner Wynn?
Yes.
Thank you. So we will, we have now established as we needed to establish, the motion passes, and we will now move on. Is there a motion to approve or if necessary, discuss the February minutes?
I'll move it. That's John Bridges.
Linda Wynn, second.
Thank you. Is there are there needs to revise the motion, the minutes from February? Or any other discussion regarding the February minutes? Hearing none, we will move forward with a roll call vote. Commissioner Acker.
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Amundson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Bobo.
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton.
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler.
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox,
Yes.
Commissioner McKee,
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn.
Yes.
The February minutes, the motion passes. The February minutes are now official and approved. We will move next to the agenda item number 4, the Preservation Awards, and Dr. Bill McKee and Ms. Scarlett Miles are going to navigate us through that. While we have Dr. McKee, well, let me introduce Dr. McKee by saying that Dr. McKee was recently honored with at Cumberland with a renaming of the faculty grant program. Those are now known as the Dr. William McKee research grants, and so I wanted to extend a congratulations to Dr. McKee while we were all gathered here together. And with that, Dr. McKee, I will hand it over to you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you sharing that information with the commission. That was quite a surprise at our last board meeting.
Yeah.
We have a number of awards to bring. The nominations committee has a number of awards to bring to the commission today. And I would like to remind the commissioners that the number of these awards reflects the fact that we did not have an awards ceremony last year. So we're really looking at providing 2 years of awards this year. So that would be the reason that there are more nominees than usual. So I want to take these in a particular order, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Maddox if she will read the criteria for the Achievement Award, and that's the one that we'll take up first. Commissioner Maddox.
Thank you, Key. The Achievement Award is given to an individual in recognition of his or her extraordinary leadership in preserving Nashville's history, either through research and writing history or through advocacy and raising public awareness of history and preservation.
Thank you. And I want you to remember that definition as we talk about our 2 people that we're presenting for the commission's review for this award for this year. The first is Ann Eden. A little bit about Ann is that she served on the Metro Historical Commission from 1975 through 2009. She was the chair of the commission during some of those years. She also served on the Metro Historic Zoning Commission, and she served as the initial chair of the Metro Historical Commission Foundation. And she was instrumental in the fundraising and other events that they sponsored, such as the Old House Fair, the Preservation Awards reception, and recently the Nashville sites. She was a graduate of Middle Tennessee State University. She worked for a good many years for Martha White Flour Company, where she wrote cookbooks and developed recipes. And then the last part of her career was with the Beeman Automobile Group, where she was a vice president. Many of you know Ann. You know that she's passed away, and this award we propose to be presented posthumously. The second individual that we're presenting to the commission is Dr. Jane Gilmer Landers. Dr. Landers is a historian, a faculty member at Vanderbilt. Her specialties are Latin America and the Atlantic world in the history of Afrikaans. And specifically, we're trying to recognize her for her work in helping to preserve Fort Negley and understanding the culture that surrounded Fort Negley and the fact that slavery was the part of building Fort Negley. And so those are the two award winners that we're proposing for the Achievement Award. And since this comes from a committee, Mr. Chairman, it doesn't require a second, but on behalf of the committee, I would like to move the acceptance of these two individuals for the Achievement Award.
So move, Linda Wynn.
Now, I need to ask if there are other individuals that the commission wishes to add to this list or have the commission discuss for the Achievement Award. Mr. Chairman, hearing none, I would ask that you call the roll and for approval of Ann Eden and Dr. Jane Landers for the Achievement Award.
Thank you, Commissioner McKee. We will now proceed with our roll call vote concerning the Ann Eden and Dr. Jane Gilmer Landers for the Achievement Award.
And understand that Ms. Eden is posthumously.
Yes, understanding that Ms. Eden is posthumously. Commissioner Acker.
Yes.
Commissioner Amundson. Commissioner Amundson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Bobo.
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton.
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler.
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox.
Yes.
Commissioner McKee.
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn.
Yes.
All right, so the motion passes, and so for the Achievement Award then, Ann Eden posthumously and Dr. Jane Gilmer Landers will be honored as recipients of the Achievement Award.
Next is I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dr. McKee.
The next award is the Commissioner's Award, and I need to share with the commission that the committee will recommend two entities, people for that award. And then I have been notified by email that a commissioner will be making a third nomination. So if I could take the two nominations from the committee first, Mr. Chairman, is that permissible? Ms. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner McKee, I'm sorry I was muted. Yes, please proceed. Thank you.
The committee is recommending Alan Forkham, the Nashville retrospect. And I think we're all pretty familiar with the Nashville retrospect, so I will not go into a lot of definition about that. It was begun in 2009 by Mr. Forkham, and its last publication was in December of 2020. Now, if there are questions about this, I'll be happy to respond in terms of what I know, but I believe that many of us on the commission, maybe all of us on the commission, are familiar with that publication. The second recommendation is Joe Chambers for the Musicians Hall of Fame. And Mr. Chambers created a Musicians Hall of Fame in Nashville, which was located in the old municipal auditorium, honoring primarily the work of studio musicians. And the city has shut down that particular site, Musicians Hall of Fame, according to the commissioner that nominated this. is a national treasure, and it exists only because of the work of Mr. Chambers. So those are the two awards that the committee is recommending, and I would ask for approval of those, and then I will then go back to the commissioner who wishes to make an additional nomination. So the committee has recommended Alan Forkham, Nashville Retrospect, and Joe Chambers representing the Musicians Hall of Fame.
Commissioner McKee, would you like for me to read the criteria?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Maddox. Thank you.
The commissioner recognizes a group, program, or project that enhances Nashville's history and historic resources. It is designed to honor projects that do not fit within the traditional preservation award category.
Thank you. And I think both the Musicians Hall of Fame and the Retrospect would do that. So, Mr. Chairman, we move that the commission accept these two Commissioner Awards nominees.
Thank you, Commissioner McKee. So the motion is for the Commissioner's Award, the co-recipients nominated are, again, Alan Forkham of the National Retrospect and Joe Chambers of the Musicians Hall of Fame. We will now move forward with a roll call vote. And I understand Commissioner Wood has now joined us.
Yeah.
Yes, good. Thank you, Commissioner Wood. I'm glad you're with us, and glad that you are feeling better these days.
Clay,
Commissioner Acker.
Clay, it's John. Though, don't we need to hear this third one before we vote on these two? I'm just asking.
These are the John, these are the recommendations of the committee. There is no limit.
Right. Okay, good. Okay.
We will move forward, and I may have phrased that wrong, but yes, we are now we are simply voting for the two previously presented before us, those being Alan Forkham and Joe Chambers, and then we will proceed after this stage with a possible third nominee. Commissioner Acker.
Yes.
Commissioner Amundson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Bobo.
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton.
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler.
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox.
Yes.
Commissioner McKee.
Yes.
Commissioner Wood.
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn.
Yes.
Okay,
the motion passes. So
now,
Alan Forkham and Joe Chambers are now will be receiving the Commissioner's Award.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I would like to yield some time, please, to Commissioner Bell. And the reason that this is coming before the commission without a committee approval is that it was not brought up in our meeting. But I appreciate Commissioner Bell thinking additionally about some people that need to be recognized, and I would like to ask her to present her proposal, please.
Thank you, Dr. McKee. This is Mene Bell, and I wanted to add to the list the African American History and Culture Conference, since it is the 40th year of this amazing conference, and that's basically speaks for itself.
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe anybody on our committee would have any objection. The only reason we're handling it separate, it was not brought up as a part of our committee discussion. So I would ask that Commissioner Bell move its acceptance.
Commissioner Bell again, and I ask the commission to move for acceptance for African American History and Culture Conference for its 40th year.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I would request that you call the roll.
All right, we will proceed with the roll call vote on the motion to honor the African American History and Culture Conference as well. Commissioner Acker.
Yes.
Commissioner Amundson. Commissioner Amundson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Bobo.
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges.
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hubler.
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox.
Yes.
Commissioner McKee.
Yes.
Commissioner Wood.
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn.
Commissioner Wynn is going to abstain. I don't want an appearance of a conflict of interest.
I appreciate your thoughtfulness, Commissioner Wynn, and the motion does pass, and so a third commissioner's award is designated for the African American History and Culture Conference, which just had its 40th iteration, and so that is quite a milestone. Commissioner McKee, I will render the floor back
Commissioner
to
Wynn
you.
would like to thank everyone for the honor.
Before we move on, I think I'd like to make an editorial comment. This 40th anniversary is the result of the hard work primarily of two people, Dr. Revis Mitchell and Commissioner Linda Wynn. And this body owes both of those people a great deal of thanks for the work that they've put in this tirelessly for many, many years. And so, Linda, I just wanted you to know how much this body appreciates you and this work.
Well, I'm certainly honored by the award, and I know my good buddy Dr. Mitchell is looking down and smiling. So thank you all for the award.
Thank you. Commissioner Maddox, would you please read the criteria for the Fletched Koch Award?
Yes, sir. The Fletched Koch Award honors Mrs. Koch's extraordinary efforts to preserve the history and historic landmarks of Nashville and Davidson County. Recipients are selected for their tenacity, curious spirit, and excellence in historical research, writing, and promotion of Nashville's local history and historic places.
Thank you. There are two nominees from the committee for this award. The first is Bob Mather. Bob Mather, for many years, was a fixture on the Nashville City Cemetery Association board and served as secretary of that body for a number of years. He was president of the Nashville Davidson County Master Gardeners, and he directed many of the restoration of the plant projects that were at the Nashville City Cemetery. The Master Gardeners have done yeoman's work for many years in beautifying that piece of sacred land. Bob was a graduate of MTSU and worked many years in the music business here in town. He retired from EMI Music Publishing as vice president for administration. The second nominee the committee presents to the commission is Michael Gray. Mr. Gray works at the Country Music Hall of Fame, and he does exhibits such as The Night Train to Nashville, Nashville Rhythm and Blues, and he's been a supporter of the R&B community here in town. He is also a major preserver of music history for Jefferson Street. And so, Mr. Chairman, those are the two nominees that the committee presents for the Fletched Coke Award.
Thank you, Commissioner McKee. Is there a motion to accept those two nominees?
Commissioner Wynn moves to accept.
Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. We will proceed with a roll call vote. Commissioner Acker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amundson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bobo?
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges?
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton?
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler?
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox?
Yes.
Commissioner McKee?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wynn?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes unanimously for the those two recipients of the Fletched Coke Award. One posthumously, Bob Mather, and then also Michael Gray. Dr. McKee, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I should have made that comment about Bob Mather. I apologize for not doing so.
No, I'm sorry.
From time to time, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman,
Sorry.
you broke up. Can you?
Yes. Did somebody else wish to speak? I think there was a third party speaking. Okay. If not, then go ahead, Commissioner McKee. Thank you.
From time to time, the commission gives a special award called the Leadership in History Award. Commissioner Maddox, would you please read anything that you have on that particular award?
Previous recipients include Walter T. Durham in 2010 and Vice Mayor George H. Haight Jr. in 2014.
So what this award is awarded from time to time for somebody who has made a undeniable and massive contribution to the history in our community. And you all have to excuse me because this is a hard one for me because the person we're recommending is a friend to many of us in the room that we would normally meet in. And this is also an award going to an individual posthumously. The committee recommends that Robert V. Bob Allen be awarded the Leadership in History Award in 2021. Bob was an author, a historian, co-founder, editor, and publisher of Author's Corner, founder of the Bellevue History and Genealogy Group, a commissioner of long standing for the Metro Historical Commission, founder of Created Memories and Storytelling Group, member of the 50 Forward Turner Center History Council, board member of the Bellevue Learning Lab called the Bell Garden, a 25-year member of the Exchange Club, founder of the Friends of Grassmere Wildlife Park, and he was a graduate of Vanderbilt University School of Engineering. Many of you know and have deep respect for Bob. And when you look at the other two award winners, Walter Durham in 2010, who was the state historian and a prolific author on Tennessee history, and former commission member and Vice Mayor George Cate, who was one of the significant founders of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, who was awarded this award in 2014. Our nominating committee believes that based on Bob's interest, love, and absolute devotion to history and history within the community, we respectfully request that the Leadership Award be awarded this year, and that Robert V. Bob Allen be its recipient. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner McKee, thank you for that eloquent and heartfelt tribute to the late Bob Allen. We were all of us who had the opportunity to get to know him felt very fortunate to have had that opportunity for him to really broaden our lives, and he did that for so many people. Certainly in Bellevue, but far beyond. So, is there a motion to approve the Leadership in History Award for Robert V. Allen?
Commissioner,
Sorry.
who has that? Go ahead. This is Commissioner Bell.
I was going to say Commissioner Cotton, so moved, but go Commissioner Bell.
That's all right.
Commissioner Bell has moved.
I'll just second it.
And we've gone ahead and seconded it, which is fine, because we all want to be a part of this really important initiative of our late friend, honoring our late friend. So I will call a roll call vote.
Mr. Chairman, please call the roll.
Commissioner Acker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amundson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bell? Commissioner Bell?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. We are getting a lot of background noise, so if people could be very attentive to muting when they're finished speaking, that, and then to remember to unmute, that would be very helpful. Commissioner Bobo?
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges?
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton?
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler? Commissioner Hubler? Commissioner Hubler? We will come back to Commissioner Hubler. Commissioner Maddox?
Yes.
Commissioner McKee?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. The motion being the Leadership in History Award to Robert V. Allen.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
this completes the report of our committees.
Thank you, Commissioner McKee. The committee, the nominations committee, did an extraordinary job in extraordinary times to put forth a very thoughtful effort that we've seen in so many areas, even on the Grammys last night. You know, we've lost so many people, and I think you all did an outstanding job. So thank you for your work. I do want to clarify one other matter. Commissioner Maddox pointed out to me to clarify that the Commissioner's Award is given not to people, but to the group or program. So in this case, we have approved the nomination of the Nashville Retrospect and the Musicians Hall of Fame for that Commissioner's Award. So rather than honoring the people, being Alan Forkham, and Joe Chambers. We are honoring those groups. So thank you, Commissioner Maddox, for that clarification.
Thank you, Chairman Bailey. I would also like to recognize the Events and Special Projects Committee who assisted with the Nominations Committee for their hard work.
Indeed, thank you. Yes, and I was remiss in not mentioning that as well. So thank you both for your work. Now we will proceed with agenda item number 5, which is the John Lewis Historical Marker. And while we are recognizing the work of committees, let me just say that the work that the Markers Committee did on this John Lewis marker was really sterling, and I think resulted in a very nice a final product, or product that we're bringing before you, not yet final, but to present to you. It was a wonderful effort at getting the language just right, and so thank you all on that Markers Committee. And so we will now proceed to Ms. Reeves, who I think is having a little technical glitch, but we will be right. We will move right to that. And all of you should have received from Ms. Pallas the transcript of the front and the back of the John Robert Lewis marker. And so if you have that, you can pull it up and be looking over it. Like I said, it's an extraordinarily good job encapsulating the life of a man whose achievements really make it all the more challenging to boil those down to a two-sided marker. And while we're waiting on this, I will also say that there's a very full director's report that was then also augmented this morning with a follow-up email with some links that will be quite useful to us as commissioners to stay apprised of all the things that are going on from Sunnyside to 2nd Avenue to Nashville sites and and several other matters. So, Ms. Reeves, are we?
I'm going to send it to him. And
okay.
Share his
okay, we're getting ready to. We're working our way through this. Well, I know we're going out of order with the agenda, but does anyone have any questions regarding the director's report? Anything to follow up on while we are getting through?
Commissioner Bailey, this is Commissioner Maddox.
Yes, Commissioner Maddox, go ahead.
I missed hearing from our director. I wonder if, in addition to the written report that he sends every month, if we could add him to the agenda. I think our attorney has said that the commission could make changes to our agenda.
Yes, I think that I think that would be good. And so if there is and we could next month return to a live director's report. Is that
my motion is that in addition to the written report, the director also give a director's report at our commission meetings.
Is there a second?
This is Commissioner Cotton. I'd second that. It would be great, in these, we feel so disconnected in all of these Zoom calls sometimes. I think it'd be great to hear. It'd be great to hear from Tim.
And let me open that up for some discussion. I'll preface the discussion by saying that we, in these months with the virtual meetings, we have kind of felt our way through. We initially were very cautious about what is essential business, but with it becoming more clear that there is greater flexibility, I think that is certainly something to consider. Further comments, and I'll ask that you identify yourself and use the hand raise function if you wish to add anything to that.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to vote on Commissioner Maddox's motion?
I believe we do, unless Mr. Dickerson, unless there is.
This is Alex Dickerson. You need to vote yes.
Yes, okay. I assume so. And we need to proceed with a roll call vote. And the motion on the floor is that in addition to a written report, that the director also provide a live report as part of the agenda in the meetings in the coming months. And is that correct? Is that the motion, Commissioner Maddox?
Yes.
Okay. And so we will proceed with the roll call vote. Commissioner Acker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amundson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bell?
Chair, before I make can I ask a question, or do we need to go ahead and vote and then ask the questions later?
You need to go ahead. This is Alex Dickerson from Legal. Since the vote's been called, it's just a vote on it. You can ask questions afterwards.
Thank you. Yes.
Commissioner Bobo?
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges?
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton?
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler?
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox?
Yes.
Commissioner McKee?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn?
Yes.
So the motion passes, and so moving forward in future meetings,
Chair.
Yes.
Chair, this is Monet Bell. I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Chair Bell. MHZ Chair Bell. Go ahead.
So what is the difference to the written and then have a verbal? Maybe that's the question that I would have to Commissioner Maddox, is that what, in addition to the written report, would it be saying that he would talk to us verbally in addition to what he has written? Please clarify.
This is Commissioner Cotton. I could jump in on that and just say, I mean, my thoughts on it is it gives Tim an opportunity to connect with the commissioners. And we have to remember, we've been in this for a year and we've added commissioners who don't actually, who haven't met in person really yet. So I don't know, to me, it just gives us a connection between Tim and the commission that would be, I mean, of course we get that from a written report, but it's just a little more personal and he can add to it. So that's just me.
Sure. Okay. I just want to clarify if that was any different. I guess with, again, prior that it would be essential business, and I guess it was just the, having it written, and I guess essential is markers and things that we would have to vote on. So I understand. Thank you.
Commissioner, this is Commissioner McKee. I also think it gives us an opportunity to ask Tim questions and him to respond to the questions of the commissioners too. And I think we've missed that during the shutdown, because we used to have some really good dialogue, didn't we, Monet?
We did, sir. Thank you. I appreciate the clarifications.
But I see two hands raised, and both Commissioner Acker and then also legal counsel. So I'll go to legal counsel first.
Yeah, this is Alex Dickerson. I just want to point out for the commission's benefit, Historical was one of the earlier commissions to meet after we got the governor's executive order around this time last year. And so there was not a whole lot of clarification that we had as to what would be proper, essential, and non-essential business. And I just want to let everybody know that I had many discussions with Executive Director Walker and other executive directors about trying to limit what was actually performed during the meeting. So just as a little background as to why he might have stopped speaking from the beginning was on advice of counsel, because we just didn't know the full extent of the governor's executive order. But just want to interject that part. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dickerson. I'm going to Director Walker is going to speak now, and then Commissioner Acker, I'm not ignoring you. I do see your hand up, so we'll go to Director Walker and then to Mr. Acker.
Well, thank you, Commission. This is Director Walker. Yes, I'm very happy to be able to speak to you guys again, and I know we all look for the day when we can meet again in person, and thankfully, it does look like it's around the corner, so hopefully that will happen soon. But I'm more than happy, and I hope it was clear that I was always available to answer questions, but I'm always happy to be more of a part of every meeting. And honestly, I'd not heard that from anyone, but it's good to hear that now, and we'll move forward positively. So expect a verbal director's report from me. I'll also likely send the same written report. I think we do want to keep the meetings, as you know, normally they're an hour. People have to leave, and so we try to stay within that confine. But I'll continue to do a written report and just give a brief overview of it at future meetings.
Thank you, Director Walker. And as I think everyone has said, much of this relates to getting a yearning for everyone to have things be a bit more human and back to normal, whatever the new normal is going to look like. Commissioner Acker, thank you for your patience.
Sure, no problem. Most of my sort of question or concern was addressed, but just sort of braiding together Commissioners Maddox and Bell's comments, I was wondering if there was some sort of moderate option wherein, Tim was able to still send the written report, for efficiency's sake, and then there would just be a standing agenda item for any, a smaller section of color commentary or Q&A. But I think that's probably what we've also arrived at. So just making sure that was an option on the table.
Thank you, Commissioner Acker. I think as we've proceeded with this motion that has passed, I think the flexibility is there to have that report be either that report that would be verbal, either longer or just more of an augmentation and a question and answer that might be necessary. So thank you all for your thoughtful reflections on this. And we are now ready to consider the John Robert Lewis marker. So I hand it over to the able hands of Ms. Jessica Reeves.
Thank you all so much for bearing with us today and make it all the way through the meeting. This is the only marker that we have to review today. It is being paid for through Metro funding, MHC funding, but this was brought to us by Council Member Zulfat Swara and a committee that she's been working with, the same committee that worked on the street name change for the portion of Fifth Avenue that was changed to Representative John Lewis Way. There we go. So just, quick background. We've got a couple of photos up here for you guys of John Lewis, and just sort of a small sample of the information that we were trying to include in this marker. It is a double-sided marker. It has different text on each side. We knew we wanted to include his, local affiliations with both American Baptist College, which was American Baptist Theological Seminary, and Fisk University, his chairmanship of SNCC from 1963 to 1966, very important to get in there as well, and then his public service. I don't believe we actually included the city council years, but his representation of the Georgia 5th District from 1986 to 2020. I wanted to include those as well. So lots of other events, protests, elections, arrests, speaking engagements, all kinds of things that we really worked. It was a very long marker meeting, also a very productive meeting, though, trying to distill all of this information down into 960 characters and spaces, and lots of editing, but I think we ended up with, the best version of our marker text. So just to show you guys where this marker is going, and I'm sorry, I zoomed in the map as much as possible. I don't know how much of this you'll be able to see, but I'll try to explain it as best as possible. So we have 1957 Sanborn map sections that I've placed on top of a Google Street View map. So at the top, in the top left corner, you can see the blue dot. That's the State Historical Commission Nashville sit-ins marker, and the building that is circled, that's Woolworth's. That was the first sit-in where John Lewis was arrested. Moving down Fifth Avenue, the building that's circled that goes all the way from 5th to 6th across Church, that is Harvey's department store. And then on the south side of Church Street, the blue building with the vertical circle, that is Kane Sloan department store. To the west of Kane Sloan, and this isn't mentioned in the marker, but that's the Tennessee Theater, another site of a protest and arrest of John Lewis. Then just moving south down towards the bottom third of the map, you'll see a red dot. That's the marker location. You can see the present day photo on the right hand of your screen. And then the building that is circled was the Greyhound Bus Station. So we had a couple of other, you see the other two red dots there on the screen. We sent this to Councilmember Swara and her committee with a couple of locations, on Fifth Avenue, we're very close to it, and then this here at 6th and Commerce. They chose the 6th and Commerce location, and the marker committee agreed with them because it will be a higher traffic area. It'll be much more visible, but there is still that historic connection. And you're, half a block from Fifth Avenue, from John Lewis Way there. But, of course, 6th Avenue no longer goes on to connect to Broadway. It dead ends there to the hotel and what used to be the convention center. So lots of people parking and then walking through. You can see the parking garage for the new National Museum of African American Music is located along this street. It'll be just down from the marker. So I think we're going to get a lot of eyes on the marker, and it'll be in a really good location. So finally, you guys received the text via email, but as well, this will be the front side of the marker. And this is really the Nashville-centric information. from when he was born to when he came to Nashville in 1957. He was essentially here for about a decade, from 57 to 67. But this talks about the nonviolence workshops and working with Reverend James Lawson, the Nashville sit-ins movement, the test sit-ins, and then his first arrest on February 27, 1960. And then the second side goes into more of his work based out of Nashville, and then as he moved on from Nashville. Here, Lewis and 9 other reinforcement freedom riders boarded a Greyhound bus to Alabama on May 17, 1960. Really hard on that sentence. I'm really proud of that one. But that, we wanted to sort of give people an idea that since the Greyhound station isn't there, since most people who will be seeing this aren't from Nashville and will never have known that there was a Greyhound bus station here, we want to let them know why this marker's here and give them that sort of context. And of course, moving on to Nick and his keynote address at the March on Washington, the attack in Selma and the voting rights campaign there. Since we mentioned American Baptist, we worked in 5th here on the backside and then talked about being elected to Congress and how long we're there. So I will open this up to you guys for a motion and any conversation, any questions that you guys have. Happy to take those.
Okay, it's John Bridges. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Bridges. Is there a second?
Linda Wynn, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. Any discussion of the marker before we move to a roll call vote? Hearing no response and seeing no virtual hands raised, we will now proceed with our roll call vote to approve the John Robert Lewis as presented. Commissioner Acker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amundson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bell? Commissioner Bell?
Yes, I think it's just that background.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bobo?
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges?
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton?
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler?
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox?
Yes.
Commissioner McKee? Commissioner McKee? I believe you were muted.
Yes. No.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes unanimously, and so good work, everyone, on the John Robert Lewis marker, which will be a nice addition to our downtown civil rights recognition. Of course, 1 block away from what is now Representative John R. Lewis Way. Which, by the way, extends all the way to the Nashville City Cemetery, in case you all haven't seen that. There's a segment of what had been 5th that goes all the way to the cemetery on the other side of the interstate from downtown. So, good work. Okay, we have run a little over our target of 1 hour in the meeting, so I will say we don't have any significant update from the task force previously established regarding the complaint, and so we will, with no update on that. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Commissioner McKee. I just wanted to personally thank all the commissioners who worked on the nominations. My group, Lynn's group, y'all did a great job, and we're grateful for you.
Thank you, Commissioner McKee, and I will add also thank you for your work as well and your leadership on that as we navigate through unprecedented times and finding the proper way to proceed when so many things are virtual. So thank you for that. Is there a motion to adjourn?
When so move.
And a second?
I'll second it, Bridges.
Okay, I will hereby declare our March meeting adjourned. If there is no further business, and thank you all, and we will see you next month.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Everyone.
Thank you, ITS.
Yes. Yes, and I should have added thank you, ITS and Kevin Lyons.
Absolutely. Made it go seamlessly even though we were in the wrong room.